So do you think was this the big secret from
But
Madeline that she
but like
had a child? Was that the secret, or what?
yeah,
What do you think?
that's the secret. That's the secret.
So if that's the secret, how does that relate to how does Blofeld know? Because she clearly was born after his arrest, and B, assuming Blofeld found out about the childbirth with some robotic eye somewhere, and he knew all
Hmm.
about her being born. How does that make Bond die? Because he's like, if you find out about this, oh, that will be the death of you, because he had a child. Like how does that happen? Beats me.
We're in the midst of deliberating No Time to Die. This is part two. We already started over at Jeroen's channel with part one, and this time we're going to cover a little bit of the overall story and our feelings about it. What went down? What do we think?
Yeah,
So the story for
a
No
lot
Time to
went
Die.
down.
A lot went down. There's a lot of story. What were your overall feelings about the story with this one? It's not just the standard mission, really, but
It
there's a
never
lot.
is with Craig, is it?
No.
Um, the story, a lot of it confused me. We'll get into all the details. It's like the plot I could follow, but the story, because there's a difference, I guess. The story overarching it all, it was confusing sometimes, especially, and this is probably going to be one of the main topics, like Madeline's big secret. I still don't really know what it was to begin with when we jump into this.
And that's the major hook in the movie. What's her secret?
It is. I mean, yeah. But overall, decent story, I guess. I mean, it's like they really whet our appetites in the pre-title sequence, which we discussed in great detail in the part one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really live up to all the questions necessarily being answered in a satisfying way. Like they keep building up to this secret, and when this secret finds its way out, and then I still don't. I'm still a bit confused what it even was.
What do you think about this? Like this is supposed to be like the conclusion that everything was building up to. It's going
Yeah.
to change everything. This is like the arc started in Casino Royale, and this is the finale of or the natural progression that
Well,
this.
it did put fun things into. It's not like because we know they never build up to any of this. They made it up
Absolutely
as they
not.
go.
Absolutely not.
But but it did bring up like so. Actually, Bond shot the grandpa to his future child in the ending of Casino Royale. Mr. White happened to turn out the big villain that we always thought was going to be Blofeld or like a
Hmm.
new Blofeld in the early Craig days.
Yeah.
Turned out to be the grandfather of his child in the end.
Um, and he would have been probably the Blofeld had they not gotten those Spectre rights back in the middle of this run.
I mean, they even had like an ending film to Quantum where he was supposed to be the big villain.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
how things have changed.
yeah, it's kind of weird to think about if they had, suppose Forrester left that scene in, how much would have all this changed? And, um, They would have really. They kept on getting boxed into so many corners, and they just kept on plowing ahead with continuity that making little sense. So like all this jazz about everything's building and this is connected to that and all that stuff. It was nonsense to begin with, and the way they do some of it in this one is pretty weak. I mean, like, you know, they have to now clear up all these alleged stories that started.
Yeah.
And it at a point in like with No Time to Die, it's almost like they took the scorched earth approach and just started destroying, just killing off all these stories. Like that's the end of that story. That's the end of this story. That's the end of this. It's just killing, just death for everything. And in a lot of ways, it wasn't very interesting how they did most of that.
No, I agree. It's you know, if they literally just cut, instead of explaining the loose ends, they just cut it off.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it. I mean, really, like out of like all the death that happens in this movie, I think Felix, and we could get into him later, but like I think Felix is the best one. All the others just seem just like we have to get rid of it somehow. What are we gonna do? Kill it. Kill it some way. But we could get into like more of those like when we go into like, you know, those certain characters. But again, like with the story, it's supposed to be Madeleine and Bond's romance. I didn't buy that. I thought that's a weak relationship to start this on. I didn't think they improved anything on the baggage that they brought in from Spectre. I didn't think like they improved much on anything there. It seems weird like that's the that was the end that they wanted for Craig. I guess like he wouldn't have come back. I guess that was his demand, probably, to just do Bond's death. And like Barbara is so in love with Craig, I guess like his demands eclipsed what fans would have liked to have seen and what maybe the Bond character deserved. But he wanted to die in this. Okay, fine. We're gonna make it so he dies, and it was a very weak finale for him to go out on. It was almost like I'm watching like Craig's finale rather than James Bond's finale. He should have just left Inspector. The Spectre ending. The Spectre ending was a better end for this James Bond, I think. At least it was like a little hopeful and.
No, and they left no doubt too. Like I'm pretty sure Craig wanted to make sure that all the people knew. Like no, I really died. Let's show the missile actually impacting full frontal.
Yeah.
Let's not, because they could have left it to the imagination where you just see the island in the distance and it bombs and you may have some hope like maybe he made a last minute escape. But no, they show there's no way. But there's also, and that's the thing, this story is a lot about Bond and Madeleine, but there's also, on the side note, there's also a villain plot. And that's another confusing one to me. The villain plot. There's so much to go into with this. A scientist got kidnapped. M has made like a Hercules bioweapon.
Yeah.
It's another thing.
Yeah.
Which I guess Safin had something to do with. And I do like Safin's backstory of wanting revenge on Madeleine, on Mr. White for Mr. White murdered his family,
and all of Spectre. Yeah, he wants to win it all.
Yeah, I do like that. But then, where does the whole bit come from, where he wants to wipe out all of humanity, or not necessarily wipe out, but then again he does. To me, that it wasn't fleshed out, to me at least, you know, after my initial viewing. I was like, it's still a bit confusing. And at one point they show a world map, and it's like where you can see it spreading.
All of Europe.
I felt like, oh, this seems like our current situation with the whole
did, yeah. Thing. In a way, I wondered if like they changed that.
Yeah,
from
because
a
I felt
virus.
like initially it was a virus, and then they
Yeah,
quickly made it to nanobots to not seem controversial, maybe.
because it seemed like when you see that scientist guy in the lab at the start, like they're talking about. I thought like they said smallpox and like Ebola.
Ebola, yeah.
Yeah, and then
It's like,
uh,
where did the nanobots come from? It's like they changed that quickly,
I wonder if they
which I
did.
and that's what I felt. I felt there were a couple of things added in later because you remember there was an initial delay before COVID where
Hmm.
they needed to change things up. I think that one they used to quickly. Oh, they saw the 007 backlash. Let's add a scene where um, he reinstates the 007 number. I don't know if they did, but I think that happened in the first delay where they were like, well, no, we still need some more time because they wanted to release it in December 2019, remember, or November. This was supposed to come out 2 years ago before COVID. Then they rescheduled that to Valentine's Day 2020.
But did
And then
we?
later, I feel like they changed. They added maybe because of the pandemic, they changed the whole virus thing to. I mean, this is speculation. We'll never know. But
We
to
we never
nanobots.
heard we never heard any confirmation about any kind of reshoots that took place, right?
No, but I think they did confirm in the first delay because the other delays were all because of COVID and stuff. I think, but the first two delays, the one that went from Valentine's Day to April, and the one that went from November to Valentine's Day, those two, they did kind of say like we want to do a little bit more, fleshing out or something. They needed more time, I guess, for post production, but still.
Like we get introduced to Safin, and like we understand like what he's doing. He's trying to kill like Spectre and Blofeld. So he starts off with Mr. White when Madeleine is little. Now she's grown up, and he's still gunning for Spectre. Like, do you think like he couldn't have just waited for like this nanobot technology to be invented to like eliminate Spectre and Blofeld? So like, did he try any other hits on these people? Like in like the 20 or 30 years that took place like since then, or is he just like waiting around waiting for the technology? Like that one seemed kind of strange. Like how
Or
long?
it's not like they thought about him in the actual movie of Spectre, where he could have been looming over Spectre as well. Like he was nowhere around, so I don't know. To me, that whole I didn't even know he was necessarily after Spectre. I mean, he kind of was, but yeah. Um, to me,
It
that a
seemed
lot of that was confusing.
yeah, like at the start it just seems like oh it's Mr. White because he's responsible for my family's death. Get them. Then like he just kind of
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
opened up his sights into like the whole organization and stuff. I guess. Um, so he kills them, which I thought was kind of see like that's another scorched earth. Like they poor Bond is dealing with this huge ominous. First it was Quantum. He's looking at this opera
And
scene
that
like
and
all
that
these
was
anonymous
the
people.
organization Mr. White was part of to begin with.
Yeah,
He was Quantum back then. He wasn't Spectre yet because that was just
that wasn't until they got the rights, and then like they said, oh well, Quantum will be like a little leg of a Spectre. You see,
yeah. So why
just
don't
make
you just get the leg? He wanted the whole octopus, I guess.
yeah, he
You
pretty
know.
much wanted all of them, and he
Yeah.
so like it's this big loom like organization, and then uh, Safin manages to kill them all in one foul swoop. They're all attending a
Yeah.
party.
That's another thing. Yeah.
They're all attending. Uh, I think it was Blofeld's birthday party. Wasn't it Blofeld's birthday party? That
Yeah,
was
that's another thing.
they're
Yeah.
they're they're, they're hanging out like in like celebrating his birthday.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's so much crazy stuff to get into. Like,
that's yeah that see like even that like Spectre did that better. Like when we met Spectre and Blofeld, like it was like that big big dark building with the table and like there's guards around it, like Bond has to sneak in, it's dark and ominous feeling. This Spectre, they're hanging out clubbing, listen to the music and everything. I didn't
Yeah, the
see like
club thing,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah, Bond and Paloma, they just kind of walk in. I didn't see like them having any difficulty like walking into this place, and it happens to be all of them in there, I guess.
Yeah, that's another thing. All the Spectre.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like,
it's yeah, but I do feel Spectre seemed pretty professional again in because we didn't predict this the rate following right after the titles. Like I did predict like there's probably going to be a 5 years later skip. That actually
mhm.
did happen. It was actually 5 years too. I was pretty spot on with that. And then the raid comes, and our initial thought, I think, was, are these going to be like MI6 agents, or is it going to be Nomi on her first mission? But she wasn't
Mhm.
involved at all. It was actually Spectre, which I
Yeah.
didn't expect. This whole raid of the
That lab.
building,
Mhm.
yeah, it was pretty decent, I guess. I was pretty surprised with the when they they um,
Oh,
they
that
got the
magnetic.
professor out. Yeah, and then the magnetic landing, so to speak. That
That
was kind
seemed
of
like
high tech.
that made me think of Mission Impossible. Something like Mission
Exactly.
Impossible would do, you know.
Yeah, yeah, me too. But anyway, what did you think of that whole raid following the titles?
I mean, I thought it was all right. It didn't even. I didn't even understand. Was he in cahoots with Spectre? Was he okay with everybody dying?
See, that's what I don't understand. It's
He 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 started
Safin.
working with
Is
Safin.
it Spectre that? Yeah, exactly. So he's working with Safin, but
Yeah.
Spectre steals the virus, which turns out to be nanobots. See, here's where I'm confused. Like, I kind of assumed like Safin is another Lake of Spectre or something, but then again he isn't because he's also after them. But he kind of seems tied in with them as well because Spectre is involved and they steal the nanobots. So how and do you get it, or was it very clear to you? Is it just me?
It didn't seem like at the start. Maybe Safin's his father had some kind of dealings with Mr. White, and that's why he was targeted and the family was killed. But I didn't think Safin worked for Spectre. He was just like an innocent. He was kind of like he should have been killed, but he didn't because of the virus thingy. And then when he grew up, I don't think he ever joined Spectre. He just was like this rogue guy who was kind of targeting them. Like I don't think he had any dealings with Spectre.
Right.
Although like uh, the Cyclops guy was working for Spectre, but then he joins Safin, I guess, a couple of years later.
Yeah, that's another thing. They have the
Or
same
maybe,
henchmen.
or yeah, because like he was still maybe he still had the illusion that he was working for Spectre, but he was really working for Safin, I guess, years later. Because he's at the party and everything, so
Oh,
like I guess they figure like, oh, he's with us, or yeah, I maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I shouldn't think about it too much.
me too. And this is what you get for because we've both only seen it once, of course. So that's
Yeah.
that's another thing. We should give it more viewings. But yeah, that the whole villain plot thing because M ties into it too. M made the whole Hercules bioweapon, which he expanded on by kidnapping the scientist or something. So it's very confusing still.
It
I
would
need to
really
read
be
up
nice.
the plot line again.
It would really be nice if like they had an M who didn't figure so prominently in the story and did something a little bit seedy and just like handed Bond a mission. Because like didn't Judy Dench have to go through this crap too? Like with the losing the list and all this. What why
Yeah.
is M? Maybe they better do some more thorough background checks on the M's because like they
M
all
is
seem to
usually the one that screws up
yeah
nowadays.
yeah.
I mean, when was the last time Bernard Lee M screwed up?
He never said, "Oh, well, we funded that Moonraker project. We didn't know that Drax was going to kill everybody for it."
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy that it wasn't a story about, well, are the double O's relevant? Should we shut down the double O section? And
Yeah. Yeah.
because like
No.
essentially,
They're now as relevant as ever with the new 007. So,
um, yeah, all of a sudden now that the Bond is gone. But like ironically, like isn't that's the point of like what M was doing with this Hercules or Hercules or whatever to kill people and to save lives, he says. So you don't need double O's to like kill people. You just release the virus or nanobots onto people and like they'll take care of it. So we don't need the double O's really.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh, like Q said in Skyfall, he says, well, sometimes the trigger has to be pulled. No, not anymore. You just release the
That's what
nanobots.
that's what that's what came into my mind, but yeah, but again, we're going on a whole negative note again.
I
But
know, I know. It was fine. It was fine.
but
It
we're
was
just picking the story apart. Which does make it seem like we hated this movie, which
yeah.
I really didn't. Um, you know, let's go to another major one in the story. Another
Okay.
elephant in the room. Bond getting a child, Matilda. This was one thing I thought about in the cinema. It's like the first instance he shows up when Bond comes to the house in Norway. It's like, oh, she has a daughter. Wait, who took care of the daughter when she was in London the whole time? Like, she, like the child was in Norway the whole time. She had no relatives to take care. Who took care of this child? I mean,
Well,
she's like 5 years old.
well, Madeleine probably has a nanny up there. She's probably living in the
Who?
back.
Like in the middle of the snow? It's like that's the first, and Lyrid said it too later. It's like that's one of the first things that popped into my mind. I did like a lot of the writing they did with her. It was very different. I wasn't hating on it, but
Mm.
I really was like, where did she come from? And then later I was like, like I pointed out, like like the torture scene with Casino Royale. When you think about
Oh,
it, should
yeah.
Bond still be able to do that to get a child in the first place after being? But that's another other jokey thing. But yeah, what did you think when she showed up?
Um, the first thing was like when Bond sees her, and then like Madeline says, "Oh, don't worry, she's not yours." I was like, "Whew, good."
And then I for a moment I thought, is she Safin's child? That's another thing that popped into my
Yeah,
mind for briefly.
because I figured, well, the daddy has to be someone because this has become like a whole soap opera. Everybody's connected with dads and brothers and all this stuff.
I mean,
So
we
we have
know
to
it
know
couldn't
them.
be Q,
No, no, not
so
likely.
it's like it's gotta be. No, so it's gotta be, and that's really when it went because I believed it initially, like, oh, it's not Bond, so okay. So who? So she got a child. Is it? So then for a moment I thought maybe Safin
Hmm.
rescued her and fell in love with her. But then I was like, no, that kid, he couldn't have done something with a child because that would have gone really dark if he, did something with
Yeah.
Madeline when she was a
Uh,
child. So that must have been. I was so confused, and obviously it did turn out it was Bond's child. But
which like I don't
yeah,
understand. Like we talk about confusion. I don't understand why she didn't. Why she said, "Oh no, it's not yours" in that scene. Why'd she
I
lie?
think Yeah, I think to make sure Bond didn't alienate her immediately, or because he just got back into his life, and then turns out, all this time I've kind of became pregnant and got a baby from you. Um, Assuming that is the secret that Madeline had a child, and Blofeld is warning Bond like if this secret finds its way out, it will be the death of you. Like, A, how does Blofeld know? Like, see that she had a child. How because clearly Matilda was born after Blofeld's arrest, and
Hmm.
B, assuming Blofeld found out about the childbirth with some robotic eye somewhere, and he knew all
Hmm.
about her being born. how does that make Bond die? Because he's like, if you find out about this, oh, that will be the death of you. Because he had a child? Like, how? How does that happen? Beats me.
Yeah,
So
I
it's like,
don't.
if that's the secret, because for a moment in the movie, I thought the secret was that Safin rescued her
But
from the
like, what,
ice.
what's the big deal about that secret? I don't understand. Like, what?
Yes. And that's another thing. If the childbirth is the secret,
Yeah.
how did she have a secret in the pre-title sequence before being pregnant?
Um. Well, like her secret in the pre-titles, because like remember, like we're gonna burn our past, we're gonna burn our secrets. She writes
Hmm.
down because she writes down on
Oh
the strip
yeah,
of paper
yeah.
the
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 masked
masked
hum.
man, the masked man or
Yeah,
something.
that's true. So
Um,
that's her secret then, I guess.
I guess, but like that doesn't seem very significant to me. Like why? I mean, Bond knows the story um, that they came to kill her father. She held the gun when she was little, and all that.
Right.
Bond doesn't know that the man who came to kill her father, who killed her mother, ended up saving her. We don't know what happened after he
Right.
saved her, and we never find out. I don't know like what happened after like he pulls her from the ice. But like if say she told him that says, oh, the man who killed my mother was about to kill me, but like he spared me. Okay, I,
And how would that be the death of Bond? It's like,
I mean, unless like there was something else, maybe he took her somewhere and raised her, or I we don't know. We don't know what happened after like he pulls her out of the ice. But like the simple fact of like, oh, the man who wanted to kill my father, he saved my life. What's the big deal? Uh, why wouldn't why would you be so reluctant to tell Bond that? I don't know. And then if later on because now she has another secret because she has the baby. That's it, which is seems more important to me. A secret for Bond. So, oh wow, I got a daughter with you now. Whoa, but it's soap opera. What is so big about what's so big of a deal about telling Bond that, oh yeah, we have a daughter together? Like you knocked me up back in Matera. All right,
yeah,
that's what I mean. Like towards the middle of the movie, it starts to get a little confusing to me. Like and
yeah,
convoluted.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
don't understand a lot of this.
The, the villain plot and the secret of Madeleine and how it all relates to each other. And then M is also tied into this with the Hercules.
Yeah,
It
but it seems
all
like
comes, it
but
becomes confusing.
but M, like it doesn't seem like he gets any. There's no repercussions for him, apparently, for like
No.
heading this project because he just says, "Ah, too bad, Bond. Cheers. Let's get back to work." So
Yeah,
like, I guess he's not. He's off.
yeah,
Yeah, he's off the hook with any of that stuff. But
yeah, yeah, and he even ordered the kill of Bond. But yeah,
yeah, cheers. Uh, when Bond visits Blofeld, see, this is like maybe we're thinking about this too much. When Bond
yeah,
visits Blofeld in prison, does is he still trying to play the game that Madeleine betrayed him?
yeah.
So
And
maybe
then I need
that's
a
what.
name, and Madeline. I need a name, Madeline.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to get under his skin. Then he
So
wants to frame
he's still
Madeline
trying to
again.
convince Bond that not to trust Madeleine. Maybe that's the ploy that she has a secret. Yeah, she's working for us. You don't even know it. Maybe
Yeah,
that's what he's pushing for.
yeah. Who knows? It's very confusing. Did you hate the fact that Bond got a child this time, or what were your feelings towards Matilda?
Is it Matilde or Matilda? That was the other thing. Was it
I
Matilde?
think it was Matilda. I think, but she's
Matilda?
French, so
Matilde?
she may pronounce it as Matilde, but
Oh,
it's I think it's Matilda.
um,
Which is, by the way, another thing. Some viewers were like, how Roald Dahl wrote "You Only Live Twice," the
right,
movie, and
right.
he had a movie called Matilda, and
Oh,
how that
that
may
look.
be a reference to. But I was like, yeah, I think that's coincidence.
Him and the daughter. I thought it was mainly irrelevant to the story. I thought it was kind of them giving him a daughter. It was almost like a fix, a fix on him and Madeleine's relationship, because Madeleine and Bond, there's not much click in there. There's not much click in there.
Yeah,
We gotta like
solidify their love. There
yeah.
has to be
We
raise
we
the
gotta
stakes.
we gotta up the emotion with these two. What can we do? Let's give them a daughter. And like
Yeah,
the fact that she's a daughter, like there's all of a sudden a daughter involved, is going to make us care more for these two, and now this third one. It was almost like the way they did with Blofeld. They didn't build him up as this big villain, this major adversary for Bond to face off against. They were introducing him in that one first movie. Said, well, what can we do to raise the stakes and raise the emotional connection between these two? Let's make them foster brothers. It's
yeah,
like all this soap.
yeah,
It's this soap opera stuff.
yeah.
That's what I mean. Like I say soap opera. So like when like they say, oh, that's his daughter. I didn't care.
There were some things to be said about it though. It's Fleming did it
Hmm.
in the Only Live Twice novel where he got a child, and I do feel some of the writing with the child is pretty funny. Like there's a lot of stuff in there, not all of it, but the one part where it's like, I need to show you something, and Bond goes, "Not a child." That's
Yeah, yeah.
that to me was that got a giggle out of me. I really cracked me up. But also to see Craig like uh, cut down an apple for her in the morning, and she's watching cartoons in the morning. That, can you picture Connery or Moore like all of a sudden he has a child with like Stacey Sutton and it's like he's cutting an apple? It's so different. It's I
That
mean you got to hand it to them. They did break
it,
a lot of ground here that was fresh, but
but like, is it too different? Is it too different for this?
it's to me the moment that happened, I was like, now I'm pretty sure they're probably gonna kill him, but because you know they have to reboot after this, obviously, but
Right.
because there's no way you could have imagined if this wasn't the last Bond movie and he didn't die, Bond would have a child in the next one. Like how
Hmm.
Bond would be going over the world saving people, but
I
he
mean,
has a child in secret.
they like they have him have a love story. That's fine. Then they give him a daughter. Now it almost like makes him too regular, a person. That's not really
Yeah,
like look at that picture like hanging behind you. Like that's he's not a regular person.
that
That man
doesn't look
that like
like a
I'm watching.
dad, does it?
It's
Yeah,
it's not why I've been a fan of the movies to watch a dad peel apples for his kid. Like he's going to like
yeah,
casinos. He's going to like these exotic places, and I think it
yeah.
kind of neuters that whole allure. I can see why people are pissed off. That whole allure of like who James Bond is. Now he's no longer a super
Yeah.
spy. He's like soccer dad. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of strange. It's I get like yeah they want to give him an emotional send off, but I think like they went too far in a lot of places. They didn't. I don't think the daughter added anything, and it didn't make me feel even worse when he died. It just seemed like
Oh,
it was like a stunt almost, like that. Oh, he's got a daughter now. Like who would have thought that guy behind you, that classic car, the DB5, is now got a baby seat in it? I mean, really?
yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy how times have changed. You know, fair enough. You always try. That's the thing with Bond. The reason it survives is it's always updating with the times. But this is a lot of updating in this movie.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you, it's and we didn't even go over the fact that a lot. Obviously Bond died, but a lot of the prominent characters die in this. It's like, well, this is the last Craig movie. We're gonna tie up all the ends. We, like you said, we're gonna give him a daughter, but we may as well just kill Felix Leiter.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull all the stops. We're gonna give him a child. We're gonna kill off Bond. Blofeld. Blofeld can be killed. There's a lot of stops that are pulled here. Um, yeah.
Why did you like the daughter? Did you like?
Yeah, there were moments where, for example, in the climax scene, where he's finding her stuffed animal, and
Hmm.
you see him pick it up, and he's kind of like, oh, I have something more to fight for now, or some a moment like that seemed to run into him. I don't know necessarily if I want because I can't picture Connery picking up a stuffed animal and going like, I have to do this for my baby. It's you
Right.
can't picture Connery in the Doctor No layer walking out quickly picking up a stuffed animal, or Roger Moore before the whole submarine place goes up. But I did like. But at that point, I was seeing where it was going. I was like, "Yep, this is where his grave is gonna be. He's gonna. He isn't gonna make it out of here." I felt like it was really building towards that by that point.
I mean, I thought like the the daughter was unnecessary. If they had
Yeah,
done it right with like the Madeleine and him romance and like their love and like their future and everything, that would have packed enough of an emotional wallop when he has to sacrifice him at the end. If they had done it right,
yeah,
that they didn't need a daughter to add on to like the whole thing. It could have been just enough for him to be losing the future with this woman that he loves.
yeah,
Like honestly, like that whole detour in Norway when he goes up to the cabin and everything. That's when I was like, oh man, let's get on with it. Is there an action scene coming up? What is going on? What we're just standing around this
yeah,
cabin, and now a daughter, the little girl's there. We're the bad guys.
yeah,
Come on, like
yeah, yeah. I mean, are we that old-fashioned that we're like what's going? But it's like
I,
I felt similar at some point. I could laugh about like, oh, this is very different. Okay, so this is
yeah.
Spawn now, huh? So he has a kid watching cartoons and he's bringing her some breakfast. Um, it's
It's
I
it's
mean, there's no way I can picture any of the other Bonds sitting at
no,
a breakfast table
no.
cutting an apple.
Given the like, where isn't he going to go into a casino in this movie? Or he's just going to cook Pop Tarts for this kid. What
Yeah,
is this? It was strange. It was a very strange. That's why I meant like when I did my little non-spoiler thing. I was like, I think they veered a little too far away from a lot of the
yeah,
stuff. Um, it's funny. Like he didn't even get a chance really to have a relationship with Madeline. A big like a great love story where both of them are laughing and like throwing pillows at each other like he did with Vesper and all this stuff.
right.
Now they're going to add a kid onto it.
Yeah,
He didn't get a great romance with Madeline. Now you're going to add like
yeah,
step two onto it. Like
yeah.
I don't know. I know I sound crabby. I know.
No, no, but it's when you pick it apart, it's like yeah, they pulled a lot of stops here, but were there any parts of the story you were really into? You're like, oh, this is good. This is the type of story I want.
um, when like and we kind of knew like Felix was going to pull him back into a mission. He said we need your help.
Yeah, yeah,
And then like Bond calls M like out of the blue and like he says but this has nothing to do with you, Bond. He says it does have something to do with Spectre. And then like he
yeah,
calls up Felix and says I'm in. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's
That's cool.
it
Yeah.
was almost like tantalizing. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then like when we go into the Cuba and stuff.
Because that whole sequence would have worked in the old movies too. That's like proper Bond.
Yeah,
Imagine like, Jack Lord pulling Connery out like, we need you back, and he calls the old M and like, this does concern me. Spectre, is back.
yeah,
You could totally
yeah,
picture
yeah,
this. I
yeah.
mean, that's a cool. That's something really cool. Even back in the day, that would have been awesome.
And by the way, I read this. I don't know if it's accurate though, but like he sees like Felix's cigar butt in like his cabin, like somebody's been here. So he picks up the cigar and looks at it. I think that the cigar, somebody said it says Delgado, and it's the same one from
They're like tatos. They're like tatos.
yeah. Is it Die Another Day that he?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a rough little reference
Delectados.
to?
We haven't made any delectados. Yeah, no, that's. I didn't notice in the cinema. I'm not too big on cigar brands, but
Yeah. So I guess that was
I guess.
that was another little reference
Uh,
though. So
yeah,
I
we
mean
would have
that's
known
cool.
that Die Another Day would have been one of the movies to reference.
Could you imagine? Finally, Die Another Day's getting respect.
Yeah, delectados cigars. Yeah, that's what we. But
Uh,
yeah,
what in the story? Like any moments that
I
hooked you?
I agree. I was gonna say that as well. The Felix moment that pulls him back in. The although that setting where they're walking in like a club, it's like the type of club I would have gone to before the pandemic. It's not the type of place you see Bond in every day, like a dance club. That again felt like a very different setting, very out of place. But I agree when he calls with M and he gets pulled back into it.
Yeah.
You see Lashana Lynch pop up pretty early on as well when he's driving through Jamaica. She's even before the club. Yeah, you see her
She's
like walking somewhere outside.
she's on the side of the road, like helping the guy fix a car or something like
Yeah,
that. Well, we could
yeah.
get to her in the next when we cover all the Bond girls,
Oh
which I
yeah,
think we'll be doing in the next part.
yeah.
So, do you think like when they wrote the scene in Spectre with Madeleine on the train, do you think they ever planned or even remotely imagined they'd have to use that? They would end up using that as a jumping off point for like a following film. No.
No, of course not. But the fact that we saw someone in the trailer come to a house, that immediately did get me thinking, oh, they're gonna go there.
Yeah.
That they're gonna pick that particular moment. Which was fine, but no, that definitely that was just as planned as that Silva eventually was part of Spectre,
Oh yeah.
Skyfall.
Yeah, they just pieced all this stuff together as like the train was moving. It's how great would have it been had they planned an actual arc from the beginning with Casino Royale? They said we just cast this blonde guy.
Like Nolan did the Batman trilogy. Like have something planned out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, this is Daniel Craig, and we got like a 5-picture arc, a story arc that we're gonna do with him. It's gonna be interesting, and hopefully in a couple of years we'll have to wait. Like we got the real scoop about like the filming of Quantum of Solace. Like at the time it was just promotion, positivity, the 4 elements, all that stuff. But like in a couple of years, hopefully get more details about the production of this, and like what happened with Danny Boyle. Why did Danny Boyle leave? Yeah.
That I do hope that's what I was going to go to. I do hope he's going to come out soon and say like, well, folks, that was it. That was the creative difference. That's the ending I didn't want to film.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like this. Yeah, and we were already theorizing that like maybe. Because at one point I thought like maybe Danny Boyle wanted to kill him off, and hopefully Fukunaga doesn't. But now and then later, we were kind of having concerns. Oh no, boy! I think they went there. I think they killed Bond. Then we had rumors that there were multiple endings filmed. Like imagine if there's another ending out there in which Bond doesn't die. Like, I would want to see that too. It's there were so much rumors around this movie.
Yeah, I hope in a couple of years we get like a little bit more of the story behind this and like why they took this approach. You poisoned my noodles and you put Ebola in it, and they were very good noodles. What?
Yeah.